Welcome to this episode of the Content on Tap podcast. Today we're talking with Sean Caddell, the Prince of Cardiff. Sean has over 2 decades of experience in real estate with deep roots in San Diego. He graduated from SDSU and he's lived in the coastal communities of North County like La Jolla, Del Mar, and Cardiff for over 40 years. My name is Brian Hernandez, owner of Ordinari and a creator that's been fortunate enough to have content we've created for clients featured in outlets like Forbes, NBC, ABC, and more. Now, we're about to cover lifestyle marketing and real estate, new luxury design trends to look out for, and red flags to avoid for new development opportunities. But first, like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, or subscribe and review if you're listening on Spotify. It helps my ego, but also helps the show grow so we can talk to more awesome guests like Sean. So thank you, let's jump right in. All right, so we are here with Sean Caddell. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I've been looking forward to this for a while. You are kind of one of the go-to real estate, lifestyle, luxury kind of guys, and I've really been curious for a while to kind of pick your brain and see, when you're talking about like overall marketing, how does lifestyle tie into that in terms of real estate?
So for the type of market, the niche that I've really embraced, I think lifestyle is the most important part of that, because I truly feel like we're making lifestyle decisions when I'm working with buyers in particular. I'm really looking to the lifestyle they're trying to create. Often they don't even know yet 100%. And it's a process to get to understand, like, how do they want to live? Like, where do they want their kids to go to school? What are the choice? Like, do they like to walk to restaurants? Like, what conveniences are great for them? So we really try to look at how they want to live, and then we create their real estate decisions based upon that.
Got it. That makes sense. What do you feel like is the most common like driving decision maker? Is it usually privacy? Is it like school zones? What do you hear all the time?
I truly feel more and more that it's specifically the outdoor lifestyle that San Diego has to offer, because we've really changed tremendously over the past, say, 5 years, where San Diego was relatively unknown to many people, like from Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Like, we were the sleepy little city to the south. Well, now those people are coming here because our lifestyle, like better choices outdoor, like activities and dining and walkability factors and safety factors and just quality of life overall. Like, we don't have a lot of traffic, where we live in safe neighborhoods. People are kind to each other. I think because they've chosen to live in San Diego, so they've made choices in their life to have the lifestyle we offer, that people are really grateful to live here. I feel people stop at stop signs, they wave you on, where in other places as we travel, and have the opportunity to go to other major cities or countries, is not always the same as that. So I truly feel we're lucky to get to work with people that are looking forward to this type of lifestyle.
Lifestyle, when you're talking about really either of those kind of areas, there is an entire lifestyle that comes along with it. And 2 of your specialties are kind of equestrian and coastal life or coastal luxury kind of properties. When you're dealing with buyers for these kind of properties, is there a component of selling them on the lifestyle of living there more than just the allure of like getting the keys to a nice house, or are they already interested in the lifestyle and that's what they're coming to you for?
It's probably a little bit of both, but people learn about the lifestyle through our working together and what our communities have to offer. But when people come to me and say they own sport horses like dressage or jumping or 3-day eventing, Western, there's many different disciplines, and people know, like, hey, I'm a dressage rider. I need a property that would work, that I can have my own arena, stapling, things like that. Where would that work? And so once we figure out the requirements for their sport or hobby or interest, then we figure out where's a place that you can live based upon suitability of the topography, and then also budget and climate and things like that. Because North County, there's like little microclimates all through North County. So we try to figure out where's best for their type of discipline. Where can they have the type of stabling or covered arenas, or flat enough to fit a huge arena for show jumping. So there's so many different caveats. And thankfully over the years, because of my interest and friendship groups and things that I support, I've become an expert in the different disciplines. So I feel it's really important. It's a niche that works really well for me. For the average person, they wouldn't necessarily get it or not know what they don't know or not know the questions to ask.
Of course.
So I feel over these past 20 plus, almost 25 years, that I've had the opportunity to really embrace those type of activities, which North County is like the perfect climate, perfect place for that. And we have so much to offer in terms of like shows and things like that, which I'm on the board of advisory board of Show Park, which is Delmore Park, which we host a lot of those activities. So it's given me a great insight into how to make these sports really viable in the future of our communities.
God, do you think that the equestrian real estate market is something that you would have ever ended up in if you didn't have a personal interest sporting wise?
No, because I really feel I would not have known what I don't know. And I always get surprised when someone hires somebody without that background or expertise, because there are so many different things that are so specific to each different discipline. And it takes years to learn. I thought I was like really knowledgeable in the beginning. And 20 years later, I'm still learning and still asking questions and still making sure that I know every in and out. And I find out every day that there's something new to learn.
Got it. Do you think that niching down has been advantageous to you marketing wise? Do you think that you would advise other people involved in real estate to find an element of their lifestyle to try to tie sales into, or is that just not a realistic goal?
I definitely think it's realistic, and I recommend that to all the new people that start on the team or that I interview with. Like, you have to have something that you're super passionate about. So for me, I go to the horse shows. I have a lot of friends that are like international competitors or Olympians, and so I'm present all the time, like in that environment. And it's great for me because organically I get to meet people. They come up and ask me questions. So I'm not out there seeking people like to try to find like, oh gosh, where am I going to try to find like buyers or sellers? Like, it happens pretty organically if you stay in an environment that's really special to you and you have things in similarity or that you can share with other people. So if it's baseball, if it's hockey, if it's yoga, like if that's your thing, like embrace that, but don't make it your only part of your business. So, because I could be really niche and only equestrian, and I feel like that wouldn't be enough for me because there's other things out there that I'm super interested in. Like when I describe coastal towns, I love the fact that I've lived in La Jolla, Del Mar, Encinitas, and currently in Cardiff for the past 18 years. So I can talk about the lifestyle of these communities, like why they're like a European village, where you're going to walk to, like the market you're going to shop at, why Seaside Market special, why these Italian restaurants on the 101, like what's great about them. And so besides like having that really niche, like equestrian knowledge and expertise, but also like knowing like what's appealing about all the different cities, depending on people. Are they super casual? Are they a little bit more conservative? What's important to them and their values, so we can stay and then we can put them in an environment that's super integritous to the way they want to live and the future they want to create for themselves in those environments.
Got it. Do you think that it offers a different type of opportunity to niche down into something like that for luxury specifically as a broker versus a typical agent, just in terms of like access to properties?
So for me, I love representing luxury properties, luxury buyers, luxury sellers. So I align myself with a brand that exemplifies luxury, and that's Sotheby's International Realty. And so for me, it's not just what's happening in our luxury market here, but worldwide, because my interests are so much greater, and I'm not putting myself in this little cute, great county and town that's on the tip end of California. So when you embrace luxury and you become an expert in luxury and luxury architecture, luxury products, what's happening now in design and things like that worldwide. You just have to stay in that alignment continually and continue to educate yourself and align yourself with others in the industries that support real estate that we can best help our customers.
Do you find that a lot of the current trends and current happenings that you're seeing in terms of luxury from around the world find their way back to San Diego pretty quickly?
I do, more than ever now. So San Diego was pretty sleepy for many, many years, and it was very traditional and smaller homes, and maybe indicative to kind of California real estate. But we're seeing many more varieties in architecture and design here that we've never seen before, and more on a international basis that we've not seen before here, because our buyers are demanding that, and they're coming from other places now. So we really do have to be experts on what's happening around the world, because we have so many different types of ways of living in our county, because we have high rises, we have low rises, we have smaller beach type homes, we have luxury estates. So we want to be aligned with experts so we can be an expert in helping people make the best decisions for their investment of their property, because we don't want this to be like, hey, I want a modern house, really like stark. I just want like cement, clean lines, windows. Okay, awesome. But we also want to be able to integrate things in people's homes so it's not so specific to that individual client that when they go to resell, we're helping them protect their investment and making wise choices for their future as well. Because we've seen when things get so specific, and even if it's super luxurious, people then, they can spend millions of dollars on things that no one would ever want again. And you see those like white elephants sit on the market forever. So we try to help people or guide people to making decisions that are super integritous to their design and their desire and the way they want to live, but also open their eyes to what's the next step? What if there has to be a next step? Are you protecting that investment and making the right choices for your family?
What are some of the design trends that you've seen kind of evolve over the last couple of years? How do you think that those kind of tie into the way that you're marketing a specific property that has or that doesn't have those?
So it's interesting because San Diego was not known well for modern or contemporary architecture per se. I mean, there's been good examples, but case by case or spotty around the different county. And then because we're such an indoor-outdoor living, one of the things that San Diego really embraced that I don't know if other markets nationally or maybe internationally, let's say, have the same type of client and lifestyle that we do, or I'm calling it organic contemporary, or kind of like taking the best of like what modern architecture created, but bringing it to what's happening now in architecture and design, but also using not cold or sterile, like where they're organic contemporary, where there's wood and natural elements and indoor-outdoor living, and the houses are alive with nature and not just what we put in it, but our surroundings too.
Got it. Do you think there's anything that you're seeing that's right on that cusp of falling out of favor or just coming into the trend cycle?
I think if it's too specifically contemporary, but not necessarily for the way someone wants to live, maybe today they think it's super cool and hip, but I truly feel like if you do like a mixed media of contemporary, modern, and also very organic or natural products, I feel like it will stand the test of time a lot better than this is what's happening today. I'm going to do my whole house like this. Okay, any house that's done on like one day and everything's picked in one day, you'll see that like they bought the furniture, like everything. They bought the artwork and just everything, but nothing that's meaningful or has a story behind it. Like things have to transcend over time, where like you can mix modern and you can mix things that are from your family that are heirlooms, and you can do a really good job of mixing different styles and design together. And it makes it much more interesting that everything's just like, I saw this picture, make my house like this.
there for a while was kind of the catalog work that you had mentioned kind of, I think, hits it on the head. For a while, there's sort of been a trend where you would see very picturesque, very like Airbnb feeling, spaces and everything, very modern, very clean cut, straight lines, a lot of things that look like you probably bought them from the same place, not necessarily a matching set, but similar design aesthetic. And it's nice when you are in a space like that. Like, it looks nice, it feels nice, but it doesn't necessarily feel like some place that somebody lives. Feels like it, like staged.
So to me, that's like a house, but that's not a home.
Yes.
And so that works really well if you are Airbnb, or if you're co-sharing a house, or if this is a second home, that works perfectly. But when you want to live in something day in and day out, you want yourself to shine through. You want to be authentic in who you are too. So it's a good question that you had. And I'll just say, like, when you hire a designer, make sure that designer understands the way that you're going to use the house, things that are important to you, things that are important to your family in the past, and also your legacy. So I see when people hire a designer, I don't know, just do the house. Well, it looks really pretty on day one when you enter the house, but then it doesn't really have a soul. It's not really integritous to who you are and doesn't represent. So when someone comes over, they don't see you in that house. They see a beautiful house, but it might as well be a beautiful hotel or a beautiful rental.
All right, so we are going to play a game. It's called Buy, Sell, or Rent. It works just like Screw, Marry, Kill from high school, but for real estate. I'm going to give you 3 options for you to pick your favorite to buy, your least favorite to sell, and the middle option is the one that you're going to rent. We ready?
Yep.
So first up, for a property that you're going to sell, the 3 options are a heated swimming pool, a large backyard, and a brand new kitchen. Which would you buy? Which would you sell? Which would you rent?
I would buy the new kitchen, I would rent the pool, and I would sell the backyard.
Don't want a large backyard?
No.
Fair. I feel like the kitchen is the one that's going to get the most use. I think that's the one that I probably would have gravitated to.
I want a big kitchen and a pool, and I don't care how big the yard is.
Fair. All right, so next up, for a property that you're going to invest in, this is one that you personally would be investing in. A residential property in a growing neighborhood, a commercial property in a busy downtown area, or a vacant lot in a developing suburb.
So I'd buy the first. I'd rent. Pardon?
The residential property?
In an upcoming neighborhood, correct?
Yes. Okay.
Yep. So I would buy that in an upcoming neighborhood. I would rent the commercial building. And if it's vacant, I think I would sell that.
I think that one just sounds like the most work. So that's the first one that I think I would pass on as well. Kind of a toss-up between the residential and the downtown, but
I like the part about upcoming residential where we're just in the part of gentrification, but it's happening all around. I feel like that's the best bet and the most excitement. That's completely sellable to many people long-term right away and increasing in value because it's so up and coming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you're right. So I feel like the specific neighborhood to neighborhood one would be the make or break for that one. So across San Diego and most of the surrounding areas, you can pretty much always see some kind of development going on. What opportunities are you seeing?
So I'm seeing, because everything's an infill project in coastal North County or anywhere kind of within the coastal corridors, there's no place for big, giant tracts anymore or multi-planned communities. So we're seeing infill projects that maybe used to be nurseries or the poinsettia fields or things like that, where because we have such a housing shortage in California and in San Diego County, all these infill projects, you're seeing more dense space allotted to individual homeowners, but then they're incorporating more public space or organic gardens and things like that, which I find fascinating, where maybe the houses are closer together or kind of interconnected like a puzzle. But on the other hand, they're making sure there's green space, open space, so the community as a whole can enjoy together, which I feel is really a nice thing to see. I don't think it happens everywhere, but the planning departments in, at least in San Diego County, are really making that a nice requirement when people are doing the dense housing, providing nice spaces for a nice community feel.
Are there any red flags about a new development, an area, a specific developer that jump out to you as a deal breaker?
Well, it's interesting because I'm going to represent a couple builders on some new projects that are going to come online towards the fall and winter this year. And they were really smart to sit down with me and ask what's important to like buyers. And this is where I'm really cautious, because I've had builders before where I've had like 6 to 8 unit projects, and we start the process and we figure out what's going to be relevant to buyers when they're completed. But you really have to manage the construction timelines extremely well to make sure that you're staying on top of that, because something that a person buying a new home today, but it's not going to be ready for 4 years because they haven't even graded yet, and then they're all the things that have to come thereafter, may not be as relevant or sales worthy for a premium, which new construction deserves a premium over resales in the neighborhoods if they're done well. So I feel like we've been lucky in North County because the builders that have been building have been builders with a track record. And you can see like ones that are first time versus ones that have a really good following and reputation. And you do want to be careful, and you do want to investigate with builders. Where have they built before? Can I see some of their projects? And even if it's not in San Diego, look them up. Or if they're in Orange County, drive to them. So it's really important. Like, are they sticking to timelines? Like, what's happening there? So people sometimes will enter under a contract, and things can get delayed by 3 months, 6 months, a year. And if you're willing to be patient, okay, but make sure there's an exit strategy too. If it doesn't fit your immediate needs anymore, if they've gone way past appropriate deadlines and all of a sudden you're finding yourself homeless, like, hey, I'm supposed to be able to move in. My rental, I sold my house. I've been in a rental. I have to move out now, and my house is still not ready. So it's really important to find builders that are seasoned or partnering with builders that are working with seasoned general contractors and project managers that are going to be able to, unless it's like weather permitting, stick to guidelines and be able to deliver a really good product timely.
Along with the topic of development, and in pretty much any major city, kind of comes this side conversation about gentrification. I know that this has a little bit less of an applicable nature in luxury areas, just because the area in general tends to already be pretty nice, pretty developed. But how do you think that the industry in general is handling the business or the balance, of business and ethics there?
So that's like such a good question, and one I'm passionate about, because we have to be cognizant of the history of a neighborhood, the people that are still living there. Like, this is an important neighborhood to people that you're going to coexist with in the gentrification process. And so we want to be aware of that. And I feel like San Diego's done a really good job with the gentrification process, because we're not tearing down rows of houses and then building McMansions per se, but we're incorporating luxury properties in maybe neighborhoods. For an example, Cardiff, where I live, there were a lot of small, tiny bungalow beach house type homes, where now they're building 4,000 square foot, beautiful luxury properties between $4 and $8 million. Well, but they're doing a really good job of gentrifying the neighborhoods. And gentrification is really good, by the way, for the economy. It's great for shops, great for restaurants. It's great for like stores like the Seaside Market, just because it's my favorite place to go every morning. But also, it's done a good job of respecting the history of how a community started, but then also integrating new in that and being kind and generous towards the way each other is living too.
Yes. And gentrification in itself, by the word, isn't a bad thing. It's the process of taking an area that's not super nice and making it nicer. So there's nothing inherently evil about the word gentrification. It's just the process of how you go about developing it from a not so nice place or a coastal kind of bungalow sort of place to a luxury mansion, gated community kind of place. That transition can either be done in a smooth, responsible way that is friendly to the people that are living there, or it can kind of not be. And I think the not be is the association that most people kind of bring to that word. Most people, when you say this place was gentrified, they think, a up-and-coming neighborhood that now nobody can afford to live in anymore, and everyone was priced out, and there's negative associations with that. What do you think the difference is when you're saying it's being done right? What are the things that are being done right? What are the things that you're seeing that you like? And is there anything that you're seeing or that you kind of have noticed on the horizon that is room for improvement?
I feel like one of the places that's being gentrified at an extremely rapid rate is Oceanside. So 10 years ago, people wouldn't go to Oceanside because they thought it was like rough. They thought like they were making perceptions about something either based on history or hearsay or just what they think it is. Because we're seeing extremely expensive beach houses being built on the beach, but it's next to still a bungalow and people are being kind and respectful. And then some of the older neighborhoods within Oceanside are still retaining their charm. They're 1,000 to 2,000 square foot, really traditional or Spanish style, indicative to California homes. But then we're also seeing areas that were kind of plighted with like some of the warehouse districts or like the urban plight, like maybe strip malls that were no longer serving anybody well and kind of past their prime, where people are building mixed-use complexes and maybe there's shops on the bottom, super cool, hip, modern, loft-style townhomes on top. And so I think and Carlsbad just did the same thing. Carlsbad's almost done, but they did the same with State Street, where there's really cool, hip, modern, luxury structures for people to inhabit it. But then we're also seeing on State Street some of the best restaurants in all of our county, like Michelin star recognized restaurants and things that are really hip and cool next to like the traditional little Italian place that's probably going to be there passed on generation to generation. So when it's integrated together, it really makes the neighborhoods really interesting and something that people want to go to, and it's really exciting. So I feel Southern California, because it was already somewhat dense in the coastal zones, we had to do a really good job of managing the gentrification process, because when I moved to San Diego, La Jolla was the place to be, and La Jolla is an awesome place to be. But North County Coastal, it seemed like a world away, and it went through a gentrification process that works really, really well. And then it kind of stopped at Encinitas, and now it's really like full force ahead in Leucadia, Carlsbad, and Oceanside, which was our last frontier. That's a super awesome place to live. Like, I'd moved to Oceanside, but 10 years ago, not. People are like, why do you live in Oceanside? Like, you're a luxury broker. I'm like, because it's cool and it's hip and there's luxury properties, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and the difference when you see the before and after, and that's the really fun part. When especially you said you've moved to some of these areas and lived in some of these areas for a while and been able to see some of these areas being less desirable when you had first moved here, and now they're kind of an up-and-coming place to be, and maybe some of them were the place before, and now it's I don't know that La Jolla has necessarily like fallen out of favor, but I don't know that it's looked at as like the number one.
So it's one of the most beautiful cities you can ever imagine, like driving down. But that was like really the only Coronado and La Jolla, Point Loma in one respect, but everything was isolated to that part of our county. And then North County Coastal was a little bit of a stepchild. And now some of the most expensive properties ever sold are in North County. So what existed before, La Jolla, Point Loma, Coronado are unbelievably awesome. I live in any of those as well. But it really grew to North County because when I moved to, for an example, I moved to Cardiff 2004. And I moved there, believe it or not, kicking and screaming. Like, I don't know if I can live there. It's kind of a ghetto. I'm not ready for this. Like, I like to be open-minded, but okay, I love it so much. And I got to be a part of that gentrification process and involved with like the leaders in Cardiff on making decisions on shops that are going to go in, what restaurants should we have. And so it's really nice to see that process as the cities evolve and the people evolve, like everything's evolving around it. And it's really exciting to be a part of that process. Like now when I look at Cardiff in 2004 and now in almost 2024, I've been there since. And it's amazing what you can do if you participate and try to help out. And the process is awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, and it sounds like a fun set of memories to kind of have and to have been a part of a long sort of process over time, seeing each different step of it and kind of having a life story that wraps into it. That's fun.
So when I started in real estate, my office was in Del Mar, right on Camino Del Mar, and I still love Del Mar, but I loved Del Mar. Like that's where I was going to move up on the hill, above the plaza. And then people would come into my office from maybe other cities, like outside of California, or even from Orange County or LA or Northern California. And they're like, hey, I'd like to buy a beach house in Del Mar. And I'm like, great. Like, what's your budget? And they're like, $2 million. And I'm like, okay. So I want to tell you about some other places in San Diego. And they're like, what about Del Mar? And I'm like, that'd be like 15, 20, 30 million. Yeah. Okay. So take me somewhere else. So I took Cardiff, but no one ever heard of Cardiff. Like, what's this Cardiff by the Sea place? And so I would educate people on it, and I became like a super advocate for it. And it really grew into a wonderful place with great educated people, interesting people, artistic people, business leaders that coexist or live next to people that are maybe a teacher, a professor, a doctor. Like everyone's like, it's a good melting pot of no matter what you do. You can be an artist, a professional athlete, and whether you're paid well or not, like people really coexist well together. And so we see that all through North County. And now people specifically come in my office, and it's in Encinitas now, but they'll say, I want to move to Cardiff by the Sea. But 20 years ago, no one would say, I want to move to Cardiff by the Sea, because they didn't even know it was a thing. And now they're like, I want to live there. I heard it's a really great town with a great vibe, great people, great demographics, really mixed. And I'm like, it is. And let me tell you the story. And I see that happening in Encinitas, Leucadia, and Carlsbad and Oceanside, the exact same thing. And it's super awesome to see. And one of the things that I think we were laughing at earlier, when people ask me, like, why is your nickname the Prince of Cardiff? And I got that nickname because people laughed at me when I moved to Cardiff, because I was dressed up, wearing a suit. I always had a tie on. Now I don't. And people are wearing like flip-flops and they're super casual. And they're like, who are you, freak? Like, you look like you're out of place. Like, we're just going to call you the Prince of Cardiff. And it stuck. So people would call me that as a joke. Like one person would tell another, and it stuck all these years later. And I'm like, should I get rid of that crazy nickname I have? No, you should keep it. Like, you have a good story to tell about it. But it's interesting how we change with our environment and people that we meet and how we grow and chill out a little bit more. Because I was somebody that was like, I'm selling in the luxury market, and I was younger then, and I'm going to wear my tie every day. But wait, I didn't really fit into the market that I was serving here. Like, I had to learn and grow to be like my clients and what they're looking for and who they are, so that they could feel comfortable with me. So that was a process that I learned, and moving to Cardiff helped me.
Yeah, and especially in something really relationship based like real estate, and you're really forming a connection with somebody over the process of, sale and looking at houses. And if you aren't able to be the type of person that your clients can relate to, I think you're going to be a harder person to work with.
Yeah, we really want to make sure that the people that we're working with can relate to who we are as well. Because like, you don't want someone to say, oh, you're too fancy or you're too this or that. Like, you want to be able to be comfortable with them comfortable with you, and just be yourself and be integritous with yourself that way, or just be your true authentic self, but also like be present to the people that you're representing and working with.
Yeah, and you got to be yourself, and hopefully yourself is somebody that your clients want to work with. But if you're playing a character, it's not going to work from the beginning.
Oh, truly. One of the things that we've learned as social media has really grown, and I was a very early embracer of social media, and everyone said in the beginning, hey, you need your own social media page, and a platform, and you need a professional one. And I'm like, no, you should merge these together, because people want to know who you are as a person. They want to know like your true authentic self, not just you in front of the camera because you've been coached on what to say and you're sharing details, but you're not a robot. And it's interesting. So as we've grown, like we've learned like, hey, our clients like to see the really professional ones, because we have to show that we have the capability of producing like luxury quality for luxury properties, things that are going to go out internationally. But it's interesting because I get the best responses for the ones where we're doing in-house, we're being truly authentic, being ourselves and not guarded or not sterile or stiff. And people love, like we get so many more responses, comments, like people stop me on the street, I saw your thing on and you were so great and you were funny. And so we really want to be authentic so people can relate to us too. So you have to have a healthy mix of super just yourself, but also the professional ones, because we are in a luxury marketplace and sector. We want to represent those homes in a luxury way, but also be integritous with who you are.
Yeah, of course. And you could sort of put those two types of content into different categories, and they have two different goals. The highly produced, listing videos with drone footage and, sunset shots, like that's an ad. That is
right. Correct.
For the purpose of driving a sale from somebody who probably already knows, likes, and trusts you and is looking actively for properties or for somebody to work with. The other content
Correct. I think so too. So I really feel like the combination of both is a good formula for success on the social media platforms.
Correct. And the other type of content is what's going to get people onto your page and interested in who you are, to where the ads that you're putting out, those listing videos are relevant. Otherwise, if the first thing that they see from you as a realtor is a listing video, there's like a 0% conversion on that. Versus if they've already seen your face, laughed at a couple of your videos, a few times, gotten a couple of tips that they think like, oh, this is interesting, this is useful, and you've built that digital social media relationship with them. You might have never even met them. They just follow you and they're engaging with your content. By the time they do come across a listing video, now it's at least audience relevant to them.
Correct.
You've already done, the half of the sales funnel worth of work, versus if you're just putting out nice looking real estate stuff, glamour shot, hero shot, it's only applicable to people that you've really already physically shooken hands with. You're not putting out the other type of content that's going to enable you to really network online and get people interested in the personality and the lifestyle and the other things that go in to working with you. They're just going to see the portfolio, and they could do that on your website too.
Correct, 100%.
So yeah, in social media in general, in terms of the content, it's a choose your own adventure. You can, if you're comfortable putting out personality-driven stuff, if you have a good persona on camera, if you're just comfortable being yourself, it can be really easy to make engaging content, especially if you're kind of already an expert on something and you're just being funny or communicating things that you already know top of mind, just in a way that's digestible, that becomes really engageable, bingeable content. And somebody can scroll through 8, 10, 12 of those videos without really, interrupting their thought process. They're just, interested next. And before they know it, in bite-sized 15, 20-second increments, they've watched 5, 8, 10 minutes of videos of Sean. They've never met you, but, now they've heard your voice, they've seen your face. Like, that's an opportunity that a lot of business owners in general, not just in real estate, but a lot of people are missing out on the ability to create content that ties a face to the brand and ties a personality of the entrepreneur to the business, rather than just showing the product. Humanizing the person behind the brand goes a long way towards converting those relationships that you're seeing on social media into people that really want to work with you.
100%. You share that very, very well. I'm 100% in alignment with that.
All right, Sean, thank you so much for your time. It was awesome to talk with you. We learned a ton about gentrification, a ton about the luxury market, equestrian market in general. I can't wait for episode 2 of our podcast. We're going to meet back soon. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I loved every second of it. Of course, we all get in our heads before we do a podcast. And this was such a great experience doing this with you. So thank you for listening, and I love the talk.
Thank you for listening to the Content on Tap podcast. Please subscribe and drop us a review, and you can follow me on social at I'm Brian Hernandez. Have a great day.